Southwestern Ohio has a mysterious predisposition for oversized reptiles and amphibians lurking in the vegetation along its waterways. The most famous of these creatures is the Loveland frog, but today we're looking at another strange beast, the Red-Eyed Reptile of Bellbrook. This is American Strangeness. In the fall of 1865, farmer Uncle Tommy Kramer was keeping his cows in a swamp pasture by the banks of the Little Miami River near Bellbrook. While searching for the cows one evening, Kramer found the entire herd running in a circuitous route through the tall swamp grass and high weeds, looking terribly scared. Investigating further, Kramer discovered that his cows were being hotly pursued by what he supposed was a large snake, its head sticking up about 4 feet above the grass and undergrowth. The reptile spotted Kramer and lowered its head before disappearing into the swamp. Kramer persuaded some friends to accompany him in search of the beast, and they anxiously followed him back to the swamp. The party failed to find the reptile, but did see the place where it had passed through the grass. Excitement about the creature died down until the next encounter in 1868. David Raper was mowing the grass with a scythe on a farm adjoining Kramer's swamp. As Raper swung the scythe, he suddenly noticed what appeared to be a huge snake sticking its head above the grass, a few feet away from him. Frightened, Raper dropped the scythe and fled to town. Once again, a group searched for the monster and failed to track it. Raper was in such prostration over the incident that he laid in bed sick for weeks. The enormous reptile stayed hidden until 1876. One day, a young boy named William Murphy discovered his dog barking ferociously at what looked like a log on the edge of a dense thicket. Assuming that the faithful canine had cornered a rabbit or mouse in the hollow of a log, Murphy headed over to render assistance. The lad had only advanced a few feet when the supposed log raised its head 4 feet in the air and vanished into the forest. The terrified dog ran off in the other direction and never returned to its master. Once more, the townsfolk were riled but could not locate the creature. That was until 1879, when William Dill encountered the beast lying secreted behind a drift along a branch. This was about 2 miles distant from where it was first seen. Dill, not wanting to cultivate any further acquaintance with the creature, made a hasty retreat. Fearing physical abuse from his friends, Dill kept his sighting secret for several weeks. Nothing more was seen of the monster until January 1884, when it made several appearances in the 4-mile span between Bellbrook and Gandertown, along a small stream known as Possum Run. On a historical note, Gandertown, listed on maps today as Auburn, was a village along Lick Run in Butler County, west of Xenia and immediately west of Millville, positioned at the corner of Ross, Morgan, Riley, and Hanover townships. Gandertown, which was named for wild geese that inhabited the area, appears to have experienced a rough-and-tumble past. A Hatfield-McCoy-style feud erupted between Gandertown's neighboring Owen and Flenner clans in February 1876, resulting in gunplay and the arrest of several family members for assault with intent to kill. In November 1878, the Xenia Gazette noted that Gandertown has determined that they will not have peace, for when one tribe stops hostilities, another begins. This time, the quarrel commenced on a frogging expedition. That's foraging expedition. On January 29, 1885, 2 young men named Newland and Reel were returning home from church when they began to argue, and Newland shot Reel in the breastbone with a number 22, also known as a bean blower. Though non-fatal, a doctor had to dig the lead out piecemeal from Reel's chest. The name of Gandertown for this village seems to have become an obscurity. In 1884, witnesses finally obtained a full view of the fearsome red-eyed reptile of Bellbrook. They described it as being 15 feet long in total, with a serpentine head and neck the size of a man's body and around 6 feet in length. It glared at surprised locals with large red eyes and produced a hissing sound. Its body was about 9 feet long and resembled that of an alligator. When walking, the animal carried its head erect, but would coil its long neck and head on its back when still and alert for intruders. It displayed no aggressive tendencies toward people and ran with terrific speed. Dogs refused to give chase. Residents suppose the beast subsisted on rabbits and fowls, as on January 24th, Frank Duncan shot at the creature while it was running with a portion of a rabbit in its mouth. On January 20th, at about 3 a.m., Eli Hauer was returning from Xenia when his horse became terribly frightened upon passing a stable near his home. Hauer was noted in the 1888 U.S. Census as a 53-year-old farmer living in Bellbrook. There was an uproar among the chickens, and Hauer suspected that a thief was in the process of stealing them. After unhitching the horse, the farmer inspected the stable and found feathers scattered over trampled snow. Tracks extended in the direction of Possum Run. Hauer roused his neighbor, John Webb, and the armed men set off to follow the trail. They hadn't gone far when they spied the monster at 300 yards distant, devouring a chicken near a plank fence. The excited Webb fired his rifle, causing the creature to flee. It burst through the fence, demolishing the 2 bottom boards. The men followed, stopping briefly to obtain the assistance of Calvin Lansinger, an old hunter. The trio tracked the monster until after daylight, when it entered a crevice between the rocks in Euston's Stone Quarry. Soon after, a party began setting up a deadfall trap outside the hole with the hope of capturing the creature when it emerged. We never learn if this plan succeeded. All of the eyewitnesses described the monster as having a head resembling a snake and as large as a calf's head, with large, fiery-looking red eyes. The Bellbrook Gandertown monster, with its crocodile body and serpentine head and neck, is a mind-boggling mystery. Was it a myth? A misidentification of an out-of-place reptile? Or a flesh-and-blood nightmare pulled from prehistory? Despite the fear engendered by the Red-Eyed Reptile of Bellbrook, one truth is clear. It just wanted to be left alone, far away from the much more terrifying humans that repeatedly invaded its swampy abode.